Before we get started with today's show, I just want to remind you that you can save 10% on your order with Symphony of Balloons, a luxury balloon company that also offers a 360 camera. Just simply mention you heard about them on Breaking Through Glass Ceilings. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Breaking Through Glass Ceilings, the show brought to you by B. Waters Productions. Y'all, it's been a week now. I'm in the Baltimore area, and it's snowing. It's freezing. It's cold, but it is what it is. I record this on a Friday, and it was already ice on the ground. I was giving my kids a lesson about black ice, and of course they made fun of it as we was walking around. And then I look, I wake up and there's more snow. But what can you do about that? But I'll tell you one thing, cold outside, but there's been a lot of hot takes on the internet and a lot of things going on. And we're gonna get right into it. The Ravens are set to hopefully make a Super Bowl run, but the journey begins this Saturday against the Houston Texans here in Baltimore. Now, the Houston Texans are used to playing in a dome, and the Ravens are used to playing outside, and it's cold. Hopefully that falls into the Ravens' favor. But obviously, this isn't a sports show. This is Breaking Through Glass Ceilings with uncomfortable conversations. So, as I was watching a lot of the sports programs, of course, the Lamar Jackson conversation came up. The Discord on Lamar Jackson's playoff run, his playoff history. Does Lamar Jackson need to win a Super Bowl in order to be considered all-time great? Now, before we get into that, I was watching First Take, and Dan Orlovsky said some things as far as Lamar Jackson was concerned. He talked about people like him was not expected. So, like, I'm gonna let y'all hear it first before I have a reaction.
This is not caping. This is the dead honest truth. And there's a little bit of insight to this. People that sound, or players that sound, look, and play like Lamar Jackson were never supposed to win Super Bowls in the NFL. In people's eyes, they were never supposed to win Super Bowls in the NFL. You weren't supposed to be able to stand on the podium and sound the way that Lamar does when he talks, or look the way that Lamar does when he talks, or play like the way that Lamar plays and win a Super Bowl. You might be good. You might win an MVP. There's people in the league, and they have publicly said, I don't care how many MVPs he wins, he will never win a Super Bowl playing quarterback. I don't care what they say.
So when I first watched this, because I watched it multiple times, I was like, okay, where is he going with this? And I didn't think it was malice by means, but I just wanted to hear it. I should say, when I said, where is he going with this? I wasn't thinking negative first. And I've been on the record for a while. And I've said, I want Lamar Jackson to win a Super Bowl because I want a quarterback that looks like and plays like and has the mannerisms of the city that he plays for, that reflects children who look like him. I've always said I wanted to see, I'm going to just say how I said it, a blackity black quarterback win the Super Bowl. Somebody like Jalen Hurts last year, somebody who is known to be in a fraternity, somebody who, you see him and he surrounds himself with black women. Now, I'm proud of people like Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson who have won the Super Bowl. Black quarterbacks who they black with mixed descent, black with, they're mixed race quarterbacks, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I wanted to see everybody win, right? That's where I mean. I wanted to see Cam Newton. I thought we were so close, right? It didn't happen. Yeah, Doug Williams won the Super Bowl years ago. And let's be honest, is what the type of person I'm looking for. Somebody who went to a HBCU and went on to win the Super Bowl. And when Dan Orlovsky said this, I was like, he's really saying a lot of stuff that I've been saying. People like Lamar, the NFL, Bill Polian. Funny story. I gave him I gave him change when I was at ESPN. Didn't really realize who he was, and somebody's like, "Do you realize you just gave a former coach GM change?" But he was very vocal, and he was one of them. Put Lamar Jackson at wide receiver, because everybody associates the quarterback position with brilliance and intelligence, and I wonder, do people feel that way? Did people feel that way about black pitchers in baseball? Did they feel that they wasn't smart enough, or more importantly, black catchers? Because we know catcher's the one that calls the game. I know the Orioles had, Charles Johnson back in the day, who's a black catcher. But did people really feel that way? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, for years, we as Ravens fans have dealt with this narrative, right? Oh, well, Lamar's just a running back. We had a Fox Sports radio host say he's not quarterbacky enough. So what does Lamar Jackson go do? Well, he goes out there and throws over 300 yards, has a Jackson 5 touchdown passes. If y'all remember during the MVP season, they said that the reason why he was able to run and be so successful because he could literally hide the ball with his skin complexion. If that wasn't the most ignorant shit I ever heard. And Lamar being Lamar goes out there, puts on sleeves. This is the Bills game, and I believe it's snow on the ground. Puts on sleeves. He took off the sleeves at halftime, and it was, impeding his game. But this is the stuff he's had to deal with. And we're talking about a guy who, when I say embrace this community of Baltimore, you could see him just walking around. I've never seen him, but you can see Lamar Jackson just walking around, talking to people. He never act like he was too big. He never act like he was better than everybody, And that's what I always respected about him. He would go around, he'd talk to people, he would, shake hands. If y'all remember, heading into the playoffs in 2019, he was on Instagram. He heard about the ladies with the pies, and so he went out there, he got the bread pudding. Now, people tried to blame her. That was a whole different story. But that just goes to show you who Lamar Jackson is. So when I hear people say stuff like this, and when I hear people criticize him, I take highly offense to it. One of my best friends in the world, Ashley Baker, from Sports After Dark. Shout out to them. Make sure y'all check out Sports After Dark with her fiance Heavy. Shout out to them. And of course, C. Lou. A couple years ago, 2020, beginning of 2020, or maybe it's 20. Yeah, I know it was at the end of 2019, right? She went out there and said Lamar Jackson has reached his ceiling. Oh my gosh. Now, boy, oh boy. Now, Ashley's had some hits on Twitter. The the Allen Iverson versus what was it? Allen Iverson versus Kyrie Irving that ended up on ESPN. And it was a couple other things she's done. That shit right there, sis. That wasn't it. And I remember calling her like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And we got into this whole conversation about. She said, "Look, I said he reached the ceiling. MVP. That's a good ceiling." But she said he couldn't win the Super Bowl. So of course, I had to make a phone call at the beginning of January, and we caught up. And I said, probably 2-time MVP and hopefully Super Bowl MVP. So, but these were the narratives. It was always stuff against him, right? And then you just hear people. Obviously, Mike Florido said that the 49ers were going to steamroll over, and he said all this stuff about Lamar Jackson. So when I hear people say, and it's just like, it's so crazy because obviously there was no Twitter around. But I'm like, did Michael Vick have to go through all this? Michael Vick was another quarterback that I wanted to see win. Him and Donovan McNabb. I remember in 2002, the year the Patriots played the Rams. Y'all remember the championship games that weekend was the Rams versus the Eagles. and the Steelers versus the Patriots. And I remember going to church and one of the ushers saying, "We got an opportunity at 2 black quarterbacks." And it would have been Cordell Stewart versus Donovan McNabb. Now, obviously that didn't happen. The dynasty of Brady was born. But these are the type of matchups, last year we did have 2 black quarterbacks going against each other. This year, no, it's not possible. Unless it's like a backup situation. But we do have Lamar Jackson versus CJ Stroud. We have Patrick Mahomes in there. But I'm gonna be honest. Again, I want to see a guy like Lamar Jackson represent for the brown skin brothers. Might not be popular to say, but this is an uncomfortable conversation. I'm gonna bring up Ashley again because there was a spill earlier this year when she brought up Dak Prescott. And when she brought up Dak Prescott, one of the things she said was, why don't we give Dak the same grace and root for him being a brother the same way we do Lamar Jackson? Conversation. I put Dak in the same category with Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. Now, Russ did flip because, people saw, okay, Russ got a black family. He's the black stepfather. However, he flipped back when Marshawn Lynch and them said, nah, because you can't even get directly to Russ. You got to make phone calls to his peoples. And it's like, what type of stuff is that? So Russ lost a little bit of credibility. And Patrick Mahomes, it's not fair. I know it's not fair. But, it's some of the same criticisms that Lamar Jackson gets, right? Because if Lamar Jackson sounded like Patrick Mahomes and looked like Patrick Mahomes, nobody would be talking about his gameplay. Let's not even kid ourselves. If he had the same skill set, but he looked like Mahomes, it wouldn't be the same thing. So that's where I'm at with that. And I'm just like, man, it's just ridiculous. And I'm rooting for my guy. And like I said, I know this is not a comfortable conversation to have, but shoot, I don't want to go this far and say that the 2 quarterbacks I'm rooting for this week because I don't want to eat crow. I ain't gonna lie. I don't want to eat crow and say, look, if the Ravens lose, then I hope the Texans go all the way. But I do want to see a black quarterback win. And I don't want to say a true black. I said blackity black because it's a made up term, right? It's a made up term by me that I'm making up to say how I feel. And I'm saying that I want to see a guy who's like me, who brown skin, shorty. So represent for the brown skin brothers. No offense, Jalen Hurts. You almost had it for the light skin brothers last year, but I want to see somebody like him, somebody like Lamar, who will be at the podium, who gonna talk the way he talk, who gonna walk the way he walk, and that kids can see anybody can make it. That's the thing. He has children looking up to him. So, yes, that is my take on Lamar Jackson. Good luck to Lamar Jackson. Go win the Super Bowl. Go do it for the culture. Go do it for everybody. And we shall see what happens. Like I said, y'all, I'm excited for this one, but you won't see no division championship shirts from me. I have one in 19. I might throw it on tomorrow. But I'm gonna wait. I said this. I got a Lamar Jackson cup for a gift from my godmother last year, right? And I told her, I'm not drinking out of this cup until Lamar signs his contract. And guess what? He won. He signed the contract and I celebrated by drinking coffee out of it. So I'm gonna have my cup ready and I'm gonna be watching the game. But as far as actually like wearing and buying the merch, that's gonna wait. And then for Christmas, shout out to my mom. She got me, my dad, my son, and my nephew all matching Ravens pajamas. And I said, I'm not wearing them until the Super Bowl. So again, maybe these superstitions work. I had a superstition in 2012 where I had to watch the game from the same place, and I tested it the last week. They lost, so everywhere I didn't go to a Super Bowl party because I had to watch the Ravens game. Matter of fact, did y'all see that commercial? I think it's yeah, it was George Kittle. He did a commercial and he thanked somebody for their superstition. And I think he said it was like probably like a Doritos or something. But yeah, that was pretty cool. But I told y'all it's a lot of uncomfortable conversations, right? Let's continue. Boy, oh boy. Are you a podcaster who is looking to share clips from your show in the simplest way possible? Well, I have the best solution, and that's Opus Clip. Opus Clip allows you to take the link to your show, upload it, and then they will clip off some of the best moments. And it allows you to edit it, change the captions, change the colors, and they also give you a viral score so you know which clip can potentially generate more buzz for your show. So, if you're looking to do that, click the link in the bio, sign up for Opus Clip, and go viral with some of the best content from your show. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to support this podcast by wearing a t-shirt, whether it's the one that says breaking through glass ceilings or the one that says no ceilings above success, simply go to foryourwear.com. Also, you can support some of your other favorite podcast and content creators, including Those Wrestling Girls, Seahawk, and the Wrestling Club. And you can support some of your favorite independent wrestlers, including Jay Bougie, Trisha Dora, Chaz the Don. Shoot, all the Pure Ignorance is on there. So go on foryourwear.com, go under personalities, you'll find Brian H. Waters, and buy a t-shirt. And remember, I'll give you a shout out on the show. The Chicago Bulls. Y'all know where I'm going with this. The Chicago Bulls honored the team of the 90s, the dynasty, the Michael Jordan team. Or should I say Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. They put them in the Ring of Honor. You know, that team was just game changing, right? But they put them in the Ring of Honor. And guess what? The fans booed Jerry Krause. When Jerry Krause's wife was recognized in his honor, as we know, Jerry Krause passed away, the fans booed to the point Steve Kerr had to make a statement and say, you know, he understood it wasn't everybody, but that's something you don't do. Here's my thing, y'all. That's Michael Jordan's fault. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that worship the ground Michael Jordan walks on. He can't do wrong. But that's Michael Jordan's fault. You know why? The Last Dance. If we want to be honest, how many mainstream people knew about Michael Jordan's beef with Jerry Krause? Now, you can make the argument that it was in Chicago, so the city of Chicago knew and whatnot. But there's sometimes you can regurgitate things, and that's something that's sort of fresh on our mind. The Last Dance had the whole world cooked and captivated. Shout out to LeBron James. If you don't believe me, ask JC Shannoni. She was on the show. She proved, yes, she proved it. She said when I interviewed her that because she worked on The Last Dance, and she said, yes, there was a phone call when LeBron James put that tweet out. But it's unfortunate that, one, the fans would boo his wife, right? It's like the man is dead. You got 6 championships because of him. But the whole thing, Michael Jordan saying players winning championships and rebuttals to him saying organization winning championships. There was so much time spent on making Jerry Krause the villain. So yeah. And then think about this. If Scottie Pippen says he feels The Last Dance made everybody else look like pawns to Michael Jordan being the king, how you think? And you may have some feelings, you may not, right? Because if you look at it, Scottie Pippen was made and looked like a fool for signing the contract that he signed. Then they criticized Scottie for when he had the headache and he couldn't play in the game against the Pistons. Michael Jordan talked about how mad he was. So when you think about that, right? Not to mention Scottie Pippen getting his surgery. Think about that, right? Now, this is the number one teammate, the greatest number two player who also was a number one player in the future. Never before. And you know what? I'm going to take that back. No, I'm going to keep it at number two, right? Because I was going to say Kobe Bryant to Shaq, but they switched off. Let's be real. There was nice. Kobe was better than Shaq after 2001 and 2002. Shaq said it. The best player in the universe. But like there was no doubt. Michael was better than Scottie, but Scottie was great. He was still a top 5 player. And he was made to look not so great in that documentary. So of course, Jerry Krause was made to look horrible. Now, I'm pretty sure he did, but I'll tell you this. I heard people who didn't like Jerry Reinsdorf and people who criticize him and talk about how much of an idiot he is. But it wasn't portrayed that much in the documentary as bad as it was for Jerry Krause. So I think it's unfortunate that fans booed him, but I definitely say it's Michael Jordan's fault. Without a shadow of a doubt. But you know, it's crazy. It is what it is. Let's move on. The Dallas Cowboys. Woo! Now, I told y'all I used to be a Dallas Cowboys fan. Believe it or not. I mean, there's plenty of evidence. If you go in my old Instagrams, my old tweets. I mean, I was literally, when I became a fan of football in 94, I didn't know you wasn't supposed to like the Cowboys and the 49ers. So those are my two favorite teams. I mean, anytime I pop in an old Madden football game or NFL Game Day 98, I'm playing with one of those two teams. I mean, side note, I talked to Skip Bayless about this when I worked at ESPN because I was criticized. Shout out to my bro, Aaron Hilton. Shout out to him. Him and his lovely lady just celebrated the birth of their baby a few months ago. So gotta give a shout out to him. But my brother used to give me the blues. The moment he found out that I like both the Ravens and the Cowboys, every time he would come to work, man, how do you like both? And then don't let both of them lose. Even shout out to my boy Ryan Cole. Ryan came over for dinner for Thanksgiving 2014. And I remember my parents had came up, and the first thing he says, asked my dad, Mr. Waters, how you let him root for two teams? But so I used to get the blues, right? And remember, to the point I asked Skip Bayless, I said, excuse me, can I ask you a question? I said, is it okay that I like the Cowboys and the Ravens? I'm from Baltimore, but when I was born, and I got into football, there were no Ravens. He said, and we were talking about 94, 95. He said, how could you not? And it said just in Skip Bayless' voice. I mean, you look at the star, the helmet, you had Emmett, Michael, and Troy. How could you not like the Cowboys? And I said, all right, y'all can't tell me nothing. But 2017, that had to change. That had to change, folks, because I got tired of the two-time heartbreak. So I would tell people for years, y'all team loses once, it's done. I dealt with twice the heartbreak for every year except 2000 and 2012. And in that, it was only once. Now, obviously, I'm being dramatic because every year you don't expect to go to the Super Bowl, but there are some years that's heightened, right? Take 2014. I just knew they were on a collision course, right? The Ravens picked up, started getting hot. When they beat the Steelers, I said, wait a minute, they got a chance. Go in. This is Saturday. A 2-touchdown lead over the New England Patriots. A 2-touchdown lead. They lose. Okay. It hurts. I go to church the next day, and now it's time to regroup because the Cowboys are playing at 4, and they're going to play the Green Bay Packers. And y'all know what game I'm talking about. God dang it, Dez caught it. And it was that moment, it hurt. I walked outside because I would always tell people if they say who do you root for when they play each other, and it was always depends on who needs it more or who's like got the older team or whatever, right? So in 2012, I went to the Ravens Cowboys game and I was confused at the time. And I picked the Ravens jersey. If y'all remember, that was the year Ray Lewis got hurt, but that was also a day Jacoby Jones ran back a huge touchdown. I remember Dez caught a touchdown. It was the perfect game for me. It was back and forth. Cowboys missed the game-winning field goal. And then that year, I said, okay, in 2014, I said, if it's the Cowboys, I want them to win because the Ravens had just won, and I really wanted Dallas to get one, right? Unfortunately, my guy Tony Romo couldn't. And then I was all in with Dak Prescott and Zeke. But then after that heartbreak again against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, I said, I can't do this no more. I got to pick a team. So I know I said a lot, but I had to give you the backstory. And then guess what? The Cowboys, Dak said what he said. And I mentioned that earlier in the show. I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling him and Zeke, the way, more so Dak, the way they went up, against Colin Kaepernick, all that. It was like, all right, I understand you got to say, but it's ways you could play the words. So I just wasn't feeling it. And now I was watching Marlon Humphrey's podcast, The Punchline with Marlon Humphrey. And they were talking about people are upset with the Cowboys and they are really upset that Mike McCarthy's keeping his job. Fans, here's what I want y'all to know. You do not have to stay with that team forever. The same way players move on, so can you. A lot of people don't get that, and I don't understand. The same way players move on, you can move on. There's a lot of criticism. Oh, you're not a fan. You're not a real fanatic and all that. Here's the thing. You pay to be a fan. You pay your hard-earned money. You pay your energy. You pay your time to watch the sport, to love the sport, to get the merchandise, to buy the tickets. Coaches come and go. And I felt that way with the Orioles regime after 2016. I said, yeah, there was no effort, in my opinion, to put together that championship team. We never got over the hump. The people moved on with their lives, but I'm still here rooting for the Orioles. And I almost left, I'm not going to lie, but I decided to stay. The Orioles are my favorite franchise. But if you're suffering and you're a longtime Cowboys fan, please enter free agency. Take a look at some other teams. Think about it. And make it a smart decision. You don't have to stay. You don't have to endure. There's no rule that says you must deal with this for the rest of your life. Don't you want to like football? I was playing Madden the other day, and I was getting so frustrated with the game. I was getting so annoyed, and I thought about it. I've been playing on All Pro, and I used to play on All Madden. When I was a teenager, it was fun. It was fun to say, "Oh yeah, man, I be playing on All Madden. I be breaking ankles, and I be beating everybody." Thought about something, and shout to Kaz because I saw this on his tweet. I play video games to relieve stress, not to be stressed again. Easy mode me. I put that game on pro. Now it's like, all right, well, I was playing Ravens and Texans and I blew out the Texans by 35-3. And I'm like, but it was more realistic. I'm playing on all pro and CJ Stroud is not missing and they completing every pass. Like, what kind of mess is this? This is not real. But I had to say, I had to do what's best for me. And that's what I'm telling y'all. Y'all do not have to stay. Cowboys fans, you can move on. People may say something, but I got out, and so can you. It's okay. Do not let this team stress you out for the rest of your life. Now, again, if they not meeting your expectations, because guess what? If you was an employee by the team and you wasn't meeting your expectations and they was paying you, then move on. You're paying them. You're paying them. So if they're not meeting your expectations, move on. Pick a new team. It's okay. Shoot. You know how many Lakers fans done that? Look, as far as I'm concerned, the only person who should be a Laker for life is Magic Johnson. I'm just saying. Now, I feel I'm gonna be one, but if they decide to do some stupid stuff, it's when you feel when you keep going down through the same thing over and over again. After a while, you gotta make a decision best for yourself. You can't keep putting yourself through that stress. Now, with that being said, I hope and pray the Orioles don't go in this another 15 years in the dungeon. See, maybe if I had that mindset then, I might not be a fan, or maybe I left and came back. But who knows? Who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, are you in the gym every week? Are you looking to kind of keep yourself cool while you work up a nasty sweat? Well, I got the best thing for you. Cooling bands, bandanas, cooling towels, and so much more. Go to Vertical Athletics, get your favorite team in MLS or MLB, or guess what? Now they have a custom option so you can upload your own logo and you can save 10% at checkout when you enter the code Brian H. Waters. Go to verticalathletics.com, use the code Brian H. Waters to save 10% on some of your best cooling gear. Man, we got to talk about this beef. Yeah, there's another beef in the airwaves. This time is Jay Gruden and RG3. RG3, Jay Gruden, everybody Monday night was watching a football game. Football game that transpired between the Eagles and the Bucks. All of a sudden, Jay Gruden, who I didn't even realize was on Twitter, doesn't even have 10,000 followers. He probably do now. But he said something. And it was something along the lines, if I ever put a quarterback through that, I apologize. And I said, uh-oh, because I saw it through retweets. RG3 quote tweeted, like, excuse me, he made a GIF. And then they went, and then it was a back and forth. But one of the things RG3 said is, like, you literally told me you did not know how to coach a player of my caliber. Now, I always believed this. Shout out to my bro, Glenn, who's a huge Commanders fan. He said Jay Gruden said the right things to get the job because everybody knew Dan Snyder, the owner at the time, loved RG3. But Mike Shanahan loved Kirk Cousins. So the dummies drafted two quarterbacks. Now, thanks to the Ravens that year when Washington beat the Ravens, but they hurt RG3 after Haloli Nada fell on him. Unfortunately, he was never quite the same. Kirk Cousins would come in, lead them to the playoffs. But then, again, there was still quarterback controversy. It felt like Jay Gruden said, he said what he had to say to get RG3 in the driver's seat. No, to get the job. Saying he was going to get him in the driver's seat. But then RG3 got hurt in preseason. Everybody knows they took out their left tackle, who was at the blind spot, to protect RG3. Shout out to Wooly, who brought that up to my attention when it happened. So, after all of that, suddenly RG3 is the bad guy. But there was some back and forth. And I'm going to play this video from RG3 that further helps you understand why these two really don't like each other.
But what people don't know is that the only reason I went to that press conference and said what I said to challenge my teammates through that press conference was because Jay Gruden asked me to do that. He asked me to do that earlier in the week. If the game didn't go the way we wanted it to go and we ended up losing, he said, I need you to challenge the guys to be better. And I need you to challenge them in a public way through a press conference. Now, what hurt me about that was the fact that after I did that in the press conference, not only did Jay Gruden not have my back, but he actually burned me with it. He came out the next day and burned me in the media. He came out the next day in a meeting in our team meeting room and burned me in front of my own teammates.
Woo, that was cold. So that escalated quickly. That was one of those tweets Jay Gruden said. And I think it's very interesting that you have all this beef back and forth. I actually love it. I love a good. I used to love rap beef. I love a good sports beef. Shoot, let me see it. But RG3 was definitely backstabbed, man. He was backstabbed. I would love to see them have a back and forth podcast because RG3 said, "You know where the bodies are buried." I was like, "Whoa, wow, Robert." And I have to say, man, when I was a Cowboys fan, nope, not a fan of RG3. Didn't like him. Even when I was at that time, I was a huge Donovan McNabb fan, right? And he said something along the lines of, "I don't think we should talk right now." And I was like, "Wow, how dare he disrespect Donovan McNabb?" Because Donovan was saying he could help him and all that. So I thought RG3 was a little on his high horse. Well, things change when they become a Raven, right? But I saw the way he was with that team. He embraced his role. He helped prepare Lamar Jackson to get Lamar Jackson where he is. He almost beat the Steelers the year the Steelers was 10-0. There's a couple questionable calls by the referees. But yeah, I was totally wrong about RG3. And now I have to say I followed him. What a great Twitter follow. And I enjoy the way he covers and talks about the game. And I'm so glad he called Jay Gruden out. I thought it was very important. Call him out. You know, I don't know if Jay Gruden ever gets another job again. And he said he ruined his credibility, but I don't think he wasn't a good coach. You know, I remember being in those pressers. He never really sounded confident. So, I mean, he did get them to the playoffs, so that bought him some extra time. But who knows? I don't know. I mean, the game is getting younger. I mean, congratulations to Gerard Mayo. It's like, wow, I remember when he was drafted. I remember playing with him on Madden. Now he's the head coach of the New England Patriots. We got a new Patriots regime coming in. They might change the uniforms. I'm not going to say I'm going to root for them, but I'm not going to hate them no more. I hated the Brady Belichick era. And then watching Tom Brady's documentary and stuff, I'm like, man, another player between Brady and Jeter and Allen Iverson. Well, I ain't hate AI. Tim Duncan definitely, and I mean, I ain't gonna say I regret it, but like those players who I respected more afterwards, but they were like on a rival team, so that was annoying. But then you look at Jay, that's the reason why I said people like Patrick Mahomes, people like Jason Tatum, people like John Morant. I'm going to enjoy them. I'm going to enjoy these players. I'm not going to dislike them in the time or spend so much time defending one player that I can't enjoy the other. I spent so much time defending Kobe Bryant, I couldn't appreciate Allen Iverson. I spent so much time defending Donovan McNabb. Ooh, that didn't age gracefully, but spent so much time defending him that I couldn't appreciate Michael Vick. When I chose a side, I chose a side. I said, I mean, even another one. Spent so much time defending Alex Rodriguez that I couldn't appreciate a Derek Jeter. So I made a promise to myself in 2019 that I was not going to do that with Patrick Mahomes. Now I hope next week I'm on here talking about the showdown of the immortals, Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game, and Mahomes has to come through Baltimore and the Ravens, because to beat a man, you got to beat the man. And I would love for Lamar Jackson to take down Patrick Mahomes, but we'll cross that bridge. Hopefully we get there. But I said I wasn't going to take away and not appreciate these guys because you get caught up rooting for somebody and you spend so much time defending. You see that with Michael Jordan lovers. They love Michael Jordan so much that they don't want to give LeBron James his props. Even Stephen A. Smith, he keeps saying, I still you number 2. That's not a bad thing. But it's so much like people to defend their guy, they got to tear down somebody else. And that's just not right. So that's where I'm at with that. But ladies and gentlemen, that'll wrap things up this week on Breaking Through Glass Ceilings. As always, thank you for joining me. Got to give a huge shout out. My sister's birthday is coming up, or if you watch this on Sunday, it's her birthday today. But a huge shout out to my sister Megan. You've seen the advertisement. The best birthday gift you can do for her, the best birthday gift, right, is follow her YouTube channel, Megan Yvonne TV. Hit the subscribe button. That's it. That's a free gift. So everybody out there, I mean, I only got 400 plus subscribers. So subscribe here. I'm trying to get to that 1,000 mark. Well, 500 first, right? Subscribe here, go over there, subscribe to her channel. So make sure y'all do that. Make sure y'all check out me on Wednesday Worldwide. Shout out to my bros, Cal and Ben. We just celebrated 1 year. It's been an honor, a pleasure to work with two of the very best in the business, two of the very most giving co-hosts you could have. So it's been a pleasure to work with them. Make sure you check that out on Spotify and Ringer, the Ringer Wrestling Show. Shout out to Dave and Kaz on the Masked Man Show, Rosenberg Dip, and Stack Out Greg on Cheap Heat. And make sure you check me out on the Wrestling Realm each and every Wednesday night with my brothers from high school, Brandon Guy, from middle school, Brother Hugh, and from college, the real Dwayne Allen. Make sure you check us out. We've been doing this thing for over 12 years. This is going on. Wow, it's actually going on year 13. Wow. But yeah, make sure y'all check us out over there. Every Wednesday night, we bring to your show. Brother Hugh is in love and in happiness because Dolph Ziggler is back, or Nick Nemeth. But then make sure you check me out on TWG Fan Club with Queen PR, Ciendor, and Justin Rich. Ciendor just dropped a new show where What Happens NXT. So make sure y'all check that out every Tuesday. And make sure you check out Wrestling Meets Pop Culture. If you want anything outside of the ring, all the cool stuff that's happening outside of the ring, Queen PR got you covered. But ladies and gentlemen, remember, do not let anybody place a ceiling above your success. You can get this t-shirt on foryourwear.com. Also, if you're in Tampa next week, holler at me. I'm going to be at the Royal Rumble. And there's a pop-up shop, a For Your Wear pop-up shop. So place your order and pick it up in Tampa. More details, follow For Your Wear. Till the next time, folks, I'm Brian H. Waters. Stay blessed. Podcasters and gamers, we all know it can be intense. We're talking, we're getting hype, we're passionate. Sometimes we need a boost. Well, you can get that by getting Rogue Energy. Rogue Energy is the #1 supplement for podcasters and gamers, and they have tons of different flavors, including Strawberry Burst, Tropical Breeze, and Cotton Candy. And you can save 10% by putting in the code Brian H at checkout. So go to rogueenergy.com and enter the code Brian H to save money.